Welcome back to Philosophy for Flourishing, the show where we discuss principles and practices for living the best, most fulfilling life possible. This podcast grew out of some of the same ideas that motivated our team to create a conference called TOS-Con, Philosophy for Freedom and Flourishing. It's a multi-day event with talks from a diverse set of experts and inspiring people, all wrapped around the theme of thriving in life and supporting liberty on solid ground. And on today's episode, I wanted to share with you a conversation I had recently with a TOS-Con attendee who realized some pretty amazing gains from attending the conference. The first year she attended, she landed a job in her field, and then the second, she met the man whom she recently married. Her story speaks to the shared values at the heart of TOS-Con and to the opportunities that arise out of it. And it also gives you a glimpse of the kind of people you can meet there and of their independence and creative career paths. So I hope you enjoy this conversation with Caitlyn Machiraju, and I hope to see you at TOS-Con 2021, happening July 21st through 24th in Newton, Massachusetts. For more details, see the link in the episode description. Caitlyn, it's more that I know of you than I know you, because you were at TOS-Con, I recall, and Isaac Morehouse was there speaking, and he was just so congratulatory about you and the things that you're accomplishing in life. And then I heard a few days ago that you were in an Uber on the way to TOS-Con, and you actually met the guy who became your husband out of that. So that's crazy. Is that all true?
Yeah. It's actually, that's not even the whole story. So TOS-Cons, hands down, have been like the most profitable conference I've been to date. So the first TOS-Con the first TOS-Con ever, and I went to it. Derek McGill gave me a shout out.
That's right.
And that led to Tim Shermack hearing about me and knowing of me. And then he hired me after that conference. And then the following TOS-Con, Isaac gives me a shout out. Tim Shermack gives me a shout out. And on the way to the conference, my husband's name is Ram. Ram and I shared an Uber and then just kept bumping into each other over and over and over again through the entire conference until it just clicked on the final day. So yeah, definitely worth my time both times around.
That's such a good story. And, I don't want to pry, but one of the things that we think about when we put this conference on is, okay, well, this is an opportunity for a bunch of people with shared values to get together and talk about things. And I'm just wondering, like, what was the conversation like when you guys started? I mean, what were some of the things that you quickly realized that you had in common?
Yeah, so it definitely helped that I knew like he had an average level of intel, like he thought about things. Like you guys definitely pre-screened like the base requirements I have for people that I would want to date anyways. But one thing that was really great and made it easier for us to click was there was the pop-up art gallery.
Mm-hmm.
And so we actually walked through that and we're talking about like each piece that we liked and things that we liked about it. And that got like really deep, like our ideas around femininity and masculinity and how art plays a role in that and how art is important for childhood development, because I'm really into like unschooling and Montessori and helping kids be the best humans that they can be. That's a passion of mine. And so he and I just hit it off talking about an art piece that I actually was very forthright and was like, I think that would look good in a kid's bedroom. And he was like, I like kids. And then we talked about how art is important for that. And he came at it much more from like what Ayn Rand thought about art. And so we had that was like an hour-long conversation that we had standing in that art gallery.
Wow, that's incredible. So I often think about this because art, I think, is probably one of the key sense of life indicators for people. It's like, what sort of art do you enjoy? It just says so much about a person.
Absolutely.
And so you had this opportunity there to bond over art, and it didn't require sort of the sometimes awkwardness of being like, hey, do you want to go see this movie together? You want to watch this together? It's just like, oh, we just happen to both be in this art gallery, walking around, sharing our ideas.
Yeah.
Do you recall what the piece was?
I bet if I looked on their website, I could pull it up. I can't remember what the name of it was, but it's, oh, what's the artist's name? It was a young boy standing in an astronaut
Oh, it's definitely
suit
Brian
on the
Larson.
moon. Yes, yeah,
Definitely
Brian
Brian Larson.
Larson's. Yeah, I can't remember what the name of that specific piece is, but
He
yeah,
has a lot with that sort of theme where he's juxtaposing young kids and something, something having to do with space. And in fact,
yeah,
I'm sure you recall, if you got to it, his talk at TOS-Con 2018, where, he displayed some of his work, and man, that guy is just an absolute genius. So, but, I fully expect that someday when you and Rom have kids, that you'll have to have this artwork in
yeah.
the
No,
room, since it's
it's
just
it's definitely on the list. It's definitely not in the budget right now, but it's
no.
definitely on the we become crypto millionaires. What do we buy with it? Dream list for sure.
It'll happen. Just knowing you, and I'm sure, I should have asked Ram to join us for this conversation. I've never met him, and perhaps he'll talk to me at some point about this. But yeah, I'm sure that he's pretty ambitious too. I mean, we're
Oh
talking
yeah,
about.
yeah, yeah. My standards are very high. Because like you can't leave school at 6. So do you even know my like pre TOS-Con's life at all?
It's shrouded in mystery for me, but I just know that it's like this fabled thing. So please tell me.
So I left school when I was 13 turning 14. So 8th grade, I pitched my parent like an actual business pitch. Like I had a printed out like deck. I had a slideshow, pitched them on why I shouldn't have to go to public school anymore.
That's
Um,
amazing.
and they gave me one semester to try it out. And then one semester turned into I never went back to a public school again. And so then I joined Praxis at 15 and began working full time at 16. And I worked full time all the way until last fall, through Praxis business partners, and then eventually for Tim Shermack's company Platform, which is the job I got from TOS-Con.
Hmm.
And now I'm 20. So my standards, it actually was really hard to find people to date, because if you're 17 and working a full-time job and it's your second year working a full-time job, and
Yeah.
other people your age are in high school and like playing football, it can be a little hard to find a culture fit for that. And so, yeah, Rom's definitely ambitious.
I love that. And like you said, TOS-Con sort of vetted him for you and vetted the
Yeah.
other people that you got to hang out with and meet. I mean, this is obviously one beautiful relationship that has blossomed out of TOS-Con, but I'm wondering, like, did you have this sort of click experience with anyone else, not at the same level, not at romantic level, but the level of, wow, this is good conversation. This is somebody that I would enjoy continuing to speak with.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely have at least like not IRL friends, but like 5 or 6 online people that like we bounce back and forth on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook still. And now it's been like 2 years probably since I've met any of them in person. Um, yeah, no, like it filters out it filters people really well. I mean, I think conferences in general do that, but because TOS-Con is so small and it has so few young people compared to most other libertarian or
Mm,
objectivist conferences, it's way easier to like actually meet everybody, and like the standout people stand out more prominently. And like, so I met every single person under the age of 40 that was at TOS-Con probably. Um, and there's a lot of Praxians that go to TOS-Con, like the last 2018 TOS-Con, I think there was like literally 15 of us. And so that also gives an opportunity for us, because we don't meet each other in person often,
mm.
very much. And so that also gives an opportunity for me to find fellow Praxians who are into objectivism that I normally wouldn't interact with because now I'm an alumni. Some of them are an alumni now, but we're active participants. And so that's also like a secondary level of connection that I think all Praxians that go to TOS-Con like about it.
That is so cool. Yeah, we definitely, we're very interested in Praxis and Praxians because it's another self-selecting group. Like the people that go through Praxis are people that really believe, well, I don't need some outside stamp of approval to do things in the world. I can choose my own values and go achieve them, whether or not somebody's given me a degree. So yeah, there's a lot of mutual love between OSI, Objective Standard Institute, and Praxis. I just love it. So what are you doing nowadays? Because you mentioned unschooling. You're really passionate about early childhood education. You've got this obvious, strong independent streak. What are you doing now?
Yeah, so right now I'm not actively doing much of anything. So I quit my job at Platform last October to do
Tim must be bawling.
Well, he actually said it's the coolest reason anyone's ever left Platform, because I left Platform to start it's called Caitlyn's Unschool. So it's basically tutoring except unschool style. So parents who maybe are working or busy or just don't have an interest in something that their kid is interested in, but they don't want to just stifle that curiosity, will let me help them with that. So niche interests like dinosaurs or animals or Greek mythology, or I have one kid who is just super interested in everything Titanic related. Right. And so like we watched the movie, we studied it. I looked up documentaries. I learned about the Titanic so I could help them learn. Or, younger kids who just can't Google things yet, helping them learn how to research things. And so it's called Caitlyn's Unschool. I also do a little bit of like Ron Paul homeschool curriculum. I'll also help parents that are trying to guide their teens through that. Because there's like a lot of essay writing and things that maybe parents don't want to edit, a 10-page essay every week. And I'm happy to do that and help with that because I'm a history nerd. And so I actually enjoy that. So that's kind of what I'm working on now. But it's kind of paused until summer's over, especially as COVID has kind of settled back down. Parents are reevaluating. Do we want to send our kid back to school? Do we want to keep them homeschooled? So I'm kind of waiting through the summer. And then my husband and I are thinking about going full nomad and doing a van conversion. And so for all I know, because I'm a woman of many talents. I'm very handy and grew up on a farm. And so for all I know, my full-time job starting in August will be converting that van and going full nomad about it. So
that's incredible.
Kind of in a weird figuring stuff out phase right now, because I haven't had like a free summer since I was like 14, really. Right. So I'm just kind of enjoying newly married life, not having to stress about things and just trying to figure out what I actually want to do for this next season.
That's brilliant. And so Caitlyn's Unschooling, this is something you do remotely, right?
I can do it remotely. Right now, I actually run a libertarian group in Austin. And so that's where the majority of my clients have come from. And so They're just like, come over to the house, do it here. Or some of them drop their kids off here for like a whole afternoon, just here at my house. Cool. Or we'll go to museums or that sort of thing. Yeah. So it's 50. Right now, it's mostly in person, but I do offer the option of remote.
And then, like, if you do the van conversion and you decide to continue doing Caitlyn's Unschool, then you have to like travel to the kids. And
yeah, I could absolutely do that, which would be exciting if I had like a national client base. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
So it's just so exciting for me to hear to hear your story and meeting Ram, who I'd love to talk to at some point. Because we have this goal in mind, of course, of bringing together people that have shared values, but we haven't had this sort of validation to date.
We actually considered like sending you I don't know why we ultimately didn't, but we actually thought about sending you guys like a thank you note, and that just
Oh,
got lost in the shuffle of having to reschedule our wedding like 3 times. But
oh yeah. I
that was
can't
a whole headache.
imagine. Yeah. And this is more than thank you enough. I love that you're sharing this story with me. We definitely hope that, you'll come back. And now you've kind of hit the jackpot. So you got what you needed from TOS-Con, like
And
multiple
it makes y'all feel
jobs,
better.
husband.
All of my single female friends that ask me for dating advice, I now literally tell them, well, first you should start by going to conferences. Here are the ones that I recommend. Because it's a pretty great way. There's a limited number of like the women to male ratio is always off. There's always less women than men. So then
Ah,
you get the high pick, you get the best of the bunch, and then you're stuck together for like 4 days. So, I'm not saying y'all should use that in your marketing, but it's certainly I'm certainly marketing you that way to all of my intellectual female friends.
well, I love it. And I think it's great that you're doing that. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks so much for the conversation, John. I enjoyed it.
Same. Thanks, Caitlin.